For more than 70 years, he waited in the wings, watching, learning, criticized, sometimes ridiculed. When the moment finally came, it wasn't triumph, it was inheritance. The Queen was gone, the world was watching, and Charles, at last, was king. But Charles III is no fairy tale monarch. His story lives in long shadows. A crumbling marriage, a tragic princess, a nation that once booed his name. He's also a man of principles, early on climate change, stubborn about architecture, soft-spoken, but relentless in his convictions. He believes the crown must shrink to survive, and that faith, art, and ancient trees still have something to teach modern Britain. So who is Charles III? A king made by time, shaped by scandal, defined by what comes next. Today, we explore the life of King Charles III, the longest heir in history. Now, Britain's newest monarch. He was born into a legacy, not of freedom, but of duty. On November 14th, 1948, at Buckingham Palace, a baby boy entered the world already burdened with expectation. His name, Charles Philip Arthur George, son of Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip, grandson of a king and future heir to the British throne. When Charles was just 3, everything changed. His grandfather, King George VI, died, and his 25-year-old mother became Queen Elizabeth II. That moment made Charles the heir apparent, a title he'd hold longer than anyone, ever. But life inside the royal family wasn't fairy tale glamour. It was formality, structure, and distance. Charles described his childhood as emotionally cold. His father, a naval officer, was stern and disciplined. His mother now was often away on duty. Charles was sent to Gordonstown, a strict boarding school in Scotland, where he endured cold showers, rigid schedules, and bullying. His father had thrived there. Charles, sensitive and bookish, did not. Still, he pressed on, attending Trinity College, Cambridge, becoming the first heir to earn a university degree, studying archaeology, anthropology, and history. He also trained at RAF Cranwell and the Royal Navy College, learning to fly and serve, all part of preparing a prince for kingship. But no education could prepare him for the scrutiny that came with being next in line. A life lived, not privately, but publicly, under constant watch. In 1981, the cameras rolled, the crowds gathered. The world watched a wedding that looked like a fairy tale. Prince Charles, now in his early 30s, stood at the altar with Lady Diana Spencer, a 20-year-old nursery teacher from a noble family. Their wedding was broadcast to over 750 million people, a spectacle of pageantry, tradition, and hope. For many, it felt like the dawn of a modern royal renaissance. But behind the palace doors, the picture was less perfect. Charles was nearly 13 years older. He had long been involved with Camilla Parker Bowles, a woman he had loved for years, though the royal institution had deemed her unsuitable. Diana was young, gentle, and almost instantly beloved by the public, but the couple had barely known one another before being swept into one of the most scrutinized relationships in the world. Still, they carried on, and in 1982, Diana gave birth to their first son, Prince William, followed by Prince Harry in 1984. The royal family appeared strong, even joyful, but in private, the cracks deepened. The pressures of royal life and the unresolved love triangle weighed heavily. The couple grew distant. The press chased Diana relentlessly. Charles, too, came under increasing criticism. By 1992, they formally separated. In 1996, they divorced. And then came the tragedy that stunned the world. On August 31st, 1997, Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris. She was just 36 years old. They called her the People's Princess, and not without reason. Diana wasn't just photographed, she was felt. She walked through landmines. She hugged AIDS patients. She reached for the vulnerable when others looked away. She did it all with vulnerability, with grace, and a quiet rebellion against royal reserve. She wasn't perfect. She was human. In the wake of Diana's death, public grief turned to public anger. Many saw the royal family as cold, unfeeling, and Charles bore the brunt of that discontent. His popularity sank. His future, once so secure, now felt uncertain. But from that storm he began, slowly, to rebuild. His image, his role, his path forward. For most of his life, Charles was a man in waiting. From the moment his mother became queen in 1952, Charles, then just a boy of 3, was next in line. And for over 70 years, that line never moved. He would become the longest-serving heir apparent in British history. But in the shadow of Queen Elizabeth II, Charles found purpose. His mother was the face of continuity, duty, and discretion. He was something different, more expressive, more opinionated, more complicated. Still, he supported her, always. Even when his choices, particularly in his personal life, created headlines, distractions, and moments of strain, he never wavered in his respect for the crown she embodied. And she, in turn, gave him space to grow into the role he would one day inherit. While she remained the steady hand of monarchy, Charles carved his own path, becoming a champion of the environment, organic agriculture, and heritage preservation long before these were fashionable causes. Some of his views raised eyebrows. His openness wasn't the royal way. But he didn't stop. He also reintroduced Camilla, yes, that Camilla, into public life. Their eventual marriage in 2005 was controversial, but measured, and done with clear sensitivity to the legacy of Princess Diana. Camilla never took the title Princess of Wales, and Charles never asked the public to forget the past, only to see the present. He redefined his role, not just as a figurehead, but as a public advocate, investing in the prince's trust, supporting young people, and speaking on architecture, faith, and sustainability. But through all of this, he remained the prince, year after year, jubilee after jubilee, until September 8th, 2022. Queen Elizabeth II passed away at the age of 96. Her reign had lasted 70 years, a global symbol of grace, duty, and resilience. And suddenly, the long wait was over. At 73, Charles became King Charles III. No coronation could fully prepare him. No lifetime of training could erase the fact that he was taking the throne at a time of change, scrutiny, and uncertainty. His mother had been the world's queen. Now, the question shifted to him. What kind of king will Charles be? Charles III did not inherit a nation in awe of monarchy. He inherited a modern, skeptical Britain, shaped by shifting values, deepening divides, and digital scrutiny. But his first steps were deliberate. Within hours of his mother's passing, Charles addressed the nation with measured grace. He honored her, pledged his own service, and, perhaps most importantly, expressed love for Harry and Meghan, whose royal exit had split headlines and households alike. It was a new kind of royal moment, warm, imperfect, real. But Charles had been preparing for it all his life. His early reign has focused on continuity with restraint. He has reduced the number of working royals. He has quietly scaled back costs. He walks the line between tradition and reform, never swinging too far, but never standing too still. And Camilla? Today, she is Queen Camilla. That story once shook the monarchy. Now it's part of its survival. Charles's coronation in May 2023 was both familiar and different. Steeped in pageantry, but trimmed of excess. He emphasized faith, service, and diversity, a nod to a Britain far changed since his mother's crowning in 1953. But perhaps Charles's greatest challenge isn't ceremony, it's relevance. Younger generations question the monarchy's cost, its purpose, and its future. The Commonwealth, once the pride of empire, faces calls for independence across the Caribbean and beyond. And at home, the tabloids still swarm, scandals still simmer, and the crown's image remains fragile. Yet Charles continues forward, planting trees, visiting communities, meeting quietly with leaders, advocating still for climate action and spiritual dialogue. He may never command the global affection his mother did, but he doesn't have to. Charles Charles III doesn't try to be a second Elizabeth. And while he's technically the third King Charles, he's doing everything he can not to end like the first one. His path is quieter, steadier, less about conquest, more about continuity. He's not the fairy tale king, but he may just be the right monarch for a post-fairy tale Britain. Thanks for watching. For more clear, compelling history, subscribe to Long History Short, your shortcut to the whole story.